The stars above Earth were no longer peaceful. For weeks, telescopes had picked up strange signals, repeating patterns from deep space. At first, scientists thought it was a new kind of pulsar, but the patterns changed too fast, too intelligent. And then, one morning, the sky burned red. It began over the Pacific Ocean. A glowing circle appeared in the clouds, bright as the sun. From it, a fleet of ships emerged, silver and black. Moving like living machines, every satellite caught the same image: alien warships entering Earth's orbit. At the United Nations, chaos spread. World leaders shouted across the room, asking for explanations no one had. The president of Earth's Defense Council, General Mara Holt, stood silent, her eyes on the live feed. She whispered, "It's happening again." Nobody heard her. Nobody wanted to. The alien ships did not attack right away. They simply hovered above the cities, blocking sunlight, creating shadows over continents. Then a voice spoke through every device, every speaker, every frequency on the planet. It was not a human voice, but something cold, mechanical, echoing in every mind. "People of Earth, you were warned before. Your time of peace is over. Surrender or be erased." The message repeated 3 times, in every language, and then silence. Panic spread across the world. Some people ran to shelters, others prayed. But in a secret base deep beneath the mountains of Alaska, a different kind of silence filled the air. General Holt stood before a screen showing thousands of dots, alien ships moving closer. A young officer beside her whispered, "Ma'am, should we respond?" Mara's face remained calm, too calm. She pressed a single button, and a message began uploading to every channel in the Galaxy network. The words were simple, only 1 sentence long. "Stop attacking or we stop pretending to be civilized." No signature, no explanation, just the message, and from Earth to the universe. The young officer frowned. "Ma'am, with respect, what does that mean?" Mara looked at him, her eyes colder than space. "It means," she said, "they forgot who we are." In the alien mothership above Earth, the commander of the invasion fleet watched the message. He was tall, scaled, and four-eyed. A general of the Threx Dominion, a warlike species that had conquered dozens of worlds. He laughed when he saw the human message. "Civilized?" He hissed, "Your kind barely learned to leave your own planet." His second-in-command growled, "Should we erase them now?" The commander nodded slowly. "Not yet. I want to see what they think they can do." Below, on Earth, the people waited. The warning message from humanity had been sent, but no one knew what it really meant. In secret laboratories, scientists received coded transmissions from old satellites that were supposed to be dead for decades. Each one carried strange instructions, coordinates that led to ancient sites hidden under oceans and deserts. Something was waking up, something that had been sleeping since the last time the stars burned. As night fell, the alien ships started their first attack. Energy beams hit the oceans, boiling water into clouds. But no explosions reached the cities, no humans died. The beams just vanished before touching the ground. As if swallowed by invisible walls, the alien commander stared at his screen, confused. "What kind of defense is that?" he demanded. His sensors showed no shields, no weapons, no power fields, and yet nothing was working on Earth deep underground. General Holt watched as the attacks failed. She turned to her officer and said softly, "Phase 1 complete." The officer hesitated. "Ma'am, what exactly are we doing?" Mara smiled, a small, tired smile, reminding the galaxy that we were never the weak ones. Across the planet, strange phenomena began to appear. Lights in the sky, magnetic storms, old ruins glowing with power in one forgotten desert. A massive door opened beneath the sand, revealing machines older than history. The humans were not preparing for war. They were awakening something ancient, something that once made the stars fear Earth. The alien commander, now furious, shouted, "Destroy the planet!" But his crew hesitated, because every ship in the fleet had started losing power. Engines fading, systems failing, communications jammed by an unknown signal. A signal coming from Earth itself at that same moment. General Holt's message repeated across the galaxy again, louder, clearer. "Stop attacking, or we stop pretending to be civilized." In the silence that followed, every alien species listening across the stars felt a chill. No one had heard humans speak with that tone in thousands of years. It was not a threat, it was a promise. The stars dimmed. The alien fleets froze, and Earth waited. The warning had been given, and for the first time in a long time, the universe began to remember who humanity truly was. High above the blue curve of Earth, The alien armada floated like a dark storm. Thousands of warships surrounded the planet, their lights blinking like cold stars. Inside the flagship of the Threx Dominion, the alien commander stared at his fading screens. No matter what he ordered, nothing worked. Their systems were alive, but silent, as if something was inside their network, watching, waiting. "Commander, our weapons are unresponsive," said his officer, fear trembling in his voice. "Shields are dropping, and our scanners detect interference from the planet." The commander hissed, slamming his claws on the table. "No primitive world can disable Dominion tech, find the source and destroy it." But there was no source. The interference came from everywhere, from the oceans, the mountains, even the very air of Earth itself. On the surface, humans gathered around screens and radios. Every nation waited for updates from the Global Defense Command. Then, suddenly, the static cleared, and a calm human voice filled every device. "This is General Mara Holt speaking. Earth has issued its final warning. The galaxy will either listen or it will learn." Her words echoed through the airwaves, steady and fearless. In that moment, people across the world felt something awaken inside them. Pride, and something older. For the first time in centuries, humanity spoke not as divided nations but as one planet. Far across the void, alien governments received the same transmission. In the council halls of the Varan Alliance, ambassadors argued in panic. "Humans cannot jam Dominion fleets, it's impossible," shouted one. Another replied, "Impossible does not mean safe. If Earth can silence them, we must reconsider." While others debated, something unusual appeared in deep space. A small ship, human-made, exited hyperspace near the Threx fleet. It was not large or armed, just a small silver craft with blue lights glowing softly around it. Inside, there was no crew, only a projection, a holographic envoy. The envoy looked human, yet unreal, its face calm, voice soft but strong. "Commanders of the Threx Dominion," it said, "you have made a mistake." The alien general snarled, "Who dares speak for this primitive world?" The envoy smiled faintly. "We are Earth, and you are standing where you should not." The commander laughed, his voice deep and harsh. "You think words can save your species? You have no power here." The envoy tilted its head slightly. "Power?" it asked. "We learned long ago that power is not what you see. It's what you don't want to see." Before the alien could respond, the hologram raised its hand. Every ship around him flickered, warning lights flared, engines roared without control, and the air smelled of burnt metal. The commander shouted, "Cut the transmission." But it was too late. The hologram spoke once more quietly. "You opened the door, not us." Then it vanished. The alien ship trembled as the stars outside shifted colors. Sensors failed. Time itself seemed to slow. Crew members screamed as they saw flashes of memories that weren't theirs. Images of ancient wars, burning worlds, and something colossal moving in the dark. When the vision ended, the ships were left drifting, powerless, terrified. Back on Earth, General Holt stood before a large holographic map. Her officers whispered nervously, "Ma'am, whatever that envoy did, the alien fleet is paralyzed." She nodded, her face unreadable. "They wanted to see our power," she said. "Now they have seen the smallest part of it." One of her aides looked uneasy. "General, this technology, it's not from our time, is it?" Holt turned toward him slowly. "No," she said. "It's older than time itself." As she spoke, deep below the facility, heavy doors opened. Inside were machines unlike anything known, massive silver spheres surrounded by glowing veins of light. They pulsed like living hearts, awakening after endless sleep. A voice from the control room whispered, "Project Eden is active." Holt closed her eyes and whispered, "Then the countdown has begun." In orbit, the Threx commander tried to regain control, but something new appeared before his ship, a small blue orb of light. It wasn't a weapon, yet it emitted a strange warmth. The orb spoke in a human voice, calm and emotionless. You came to test us, now you face our memory. The orb expanded, filling the entire view of space. For a moment, every alien mind connected to the network saw the same vision. A younger Earth, billions of years ago. Armies of human-like beings building great cities not of stone but of light. Weapons that could move planets, fleets that could erase galaxies. And then silence. They had erased their own empire, hidden their history, sealed their power. The vision faded. The alien commander fell to his knees, gasping for air. What are you? He whispered, and the voice answered softly. We are what we chose to forget, but you have reminded us. On Earth, the world was changing. Storms gathered across continents. The oceans glowed with patterns that formed for only one reason, to send a signal, but not to the invaders. It was going somewhere else, far beyond the Milky Way. Something older than humanity had heard Earth's call. General Holt stared at the glowing Earth on her screen. She whispered, "They wanted war, they will now remember why the stars once feared us." Above her, in the dark sky, the alien fleet began to retreat. But it was already too late. Earth had spoken, and the universe was listening. The alien fleet drifted in silence, no one dared to speak. Engines offline, weapons useless, hearts filled with fear. The Threk's dominion had conquered hundreds of worlds, but never had they seen a planet fight back without firing a single shot. And now their mighty fleet hung in orbit like broken toys. Inside the flagship, Commander Vral tried to make sense of what had happened. How can a species that barely reaches the moon disable our systems? He shouted, but his officers were too terrified to answer. Each of them had seen the same vision, burning galaxies, ancient cities of light and beings who looked human yet not. Something deep inside their minds whispered that this was not Earth's first war. It was just their first in a long time. On the surface, the world was strangely calm. Cities functioned, people returned to work. Yet there was an invisible tension in the air. Everyone had seen the global broadcast, the alien message, the human warning, and the impossible silence that followed. Social networks buzzed with theories. Some said it was government tech. Others claimed it was divine. But in hidden corners of the world, those who knew the truth were preparing. Beneath the frozen wastelands of Antarctica, the door of an ancient chamber opened. Scientists in white suits stepped inside, their lights shining on walls carved with strange symbols. The air smelled of metal and age, one of the scientists whispered. It's older than the ice itself. At the center stood a large black sphere. Pulsing faintly, a low hum filled the chamber, as if it were alive. A voice spoke through their comms. General Mara Holt. Team Alpha, confirm location of Artifact 9. Confirmed, General, the lead scientist said. But there's movement. Before he could finish, the sphere cracked open, releasing a wave of blue energy. The lights flickered, instruments died, and the ice began to melt around them. Then they heard whispers, thousands of voices speaking in forgotten tongues. The scientist dropped his scanner, eyes wide. It's not a machine, he gasped. It's a memory. Back in Alaska, General Holt stood in the command center watching the readings. Lines of code and symbols appeared on the main screen, forming patterns no computer could translate. Project Eden is merging with Artifact 9, her aide reported. Holt nodded slowly. Then humanity's shadow has returned. Meanwhile, the alien fleet tried to retreat, but the space around Earth was changing. Invisible ripples spread from the planet like waves in a pond. Ships caught in the field began to lose not only power but memory. Crew members forgot orders, forgot their mission, forgot even who they were. Panic spread through the alien ranks. Commander Vral shouted, "Set coordinates for jump, any direction." But his navigator looked up with hollow eyes. "Jump to where, Commander?" He whispered, "There is nowhere safe." In a distant corner of space, far beyond human sight, other civilizations were watching. The Varan Alliance, the Mir Collective, the silent watchers of Tau 9. All observed Earth with growing fear. A world they once ignored was now rewriting the rules of war. A few old races recognized the signs. "This is not new," an elder said. "The humans are waking what they buried back on Earth." The Antarctic sphere began to project images into the sky. Massive holographic visions appeared over continents. Ancient wars, Burning stars and soldiers wearing armor made of light. People around the world looked up in awe and terror. It was humanity's forgotten past playing before their eyes. In one of the projections, a human figure stood surrounded by fire. He looked up and said, "We promise never again." But promises fade when others strike first. Then the image vanished, leaving behind silence and the faint hum of energy in the air. General Holt watched everything unfold. Her officers looked shaken. One asked softly, "General, what exactly are we becoming?" She answered without looking away, "Not becoming, Lieutenant, remembering that night." The skies above Earth shimmered. Auroras appeared even over the equator, painting the night in green and gold. It was beautiful, but it wasn't natural. Every satellite captured energy waves spreading from the planet into space, coded signals carrying a message no one could fully read. But a few words were clear. "We remember." On the alien flagship, Commander Vral stared at his dying screens. "Retreat now," he growled, "before this world consumes us." But when his crew tried to activate the jump drives, the stars outside moved on their own. The ship wasn't flying away. The universe itself was bending. A human voice echoed through their communication system once more. "You came to conquer," it said, "but you woke the ghosts that built your empire." The voice wasn't General Holt's. It was something older, deeper, a presence that spoke through the very atoms of space. Every being who heard it felt the same fear, the kind that makes even gods tremble. Down on Earth, General Holt stood alone on a balcony. Watching the northern lights twist and dance, she whispered quietly. They thought humanity was fragile. Behind her, the shadows shifted, forming faint outlines of glowing figures. Tall, human-shaped but ancient, one of them spoke, voice like thunder wrapped in silk. "You called us, Mara Holt, and now we answer." Holt turned, her eyes reflecting the same golden light. "It's time, then," she said softly. "The galaxy will learn what we truly are." The figure nodded slowly. "The stars once feared your kind," it said, "and soon they will remember why." The wind howled across the frozen land, carrying the echoes of humanity's awakening, and in the cold silence of space the universe shivered, because the shadows of humanity had returned, and this time they were not going back to sleep. The Earth no longer slept from orbit. The planet looked the same. Blue oceans, green lands, white clouds, but beneath that calm surface, something ancient had started to breathe again. The alien fleets that had once surrounded the planet were now scattered, broken and frightened. They didn't understand what they had awakened, but Earth did in a mountain base near the Arctic Circle. General Mara Holt stood before a large glass window overlooking the snow-covered landscape. The ground below her trembled softly, as if the planet itself was moving. "Ma'am," said her aide, "the resonance level is climbing again." Holt didn't answer. She simply watched the horizon glow faintly blue. Then she whispered, "It's waking up deep underground, in chambers built centuries before any recorded history." Massive engines of light turned slowly. They were not machines built by human hands, but by something older, something that once called humanity its creation. Energy flowed through crystal veins like liquid fire, connecting cities, mountains, and oceans. Earth's crust vibrated with hidden codes. The planet was no longer just a home. It was a living defense system. At the same time, the alien commander Vral tried to restore order among his fleet. Ships drifted like debris, their systems corrupted by invisible signals. "Transmit distress to the Dominion homeworld," he shouted. But his communications officer shook his head, eyes filled with fear. "Sir, there is no homeworld," he said quietly. Vral froze. "What?" The officer's voice trembled. "It's gone, Commander, the coordinates. They're empty." Panic filled the bridge somewhere in the galaxy. Entire star systems were disappearing, not destroyed, but erased as if someone was rewriting existence itself. And the center of that rewriting was Earth. Back on the surface, people around the world began to see strange visions. In New York, lights flickered and skyscrapers briefly turned transparent, showing glimpses of other worlds. In Tokyo, the sky shimmered, revealing massive shapes moving behind the clouds. In the Sahara, sand dunes lifted like waves as metallic roots surfaced beneath, glowing softly. It wasn't an invasion, it was an awakening. The planet was remembering what it used to be in the command center. Holt's scientists shouted updates. "Ma'am, global energy output has risen 2,000%. The Earth's core temperature is stable." But something is spreading. A neural network signal across every living being. Holt turned to them, calm but tense. Every living being? She asked. Yes. General, the scientist replied. Humans, animals, even the trees and everything connected. A silence fell, broken only by the hum of machines. Then Holt said softly, Then it has begun. Far above, the alien remnants tried to flee. But as they powered their engines, strange glowing marks appeared on their hulls, symbols no one could decipher. The markings spread like veins of light. Crew members screamed as they felt voices whispering inside their minds. Not words of pain, but of sorrow. You were warned, the voices said. We wanted peace. Not memory. The alien commander fell to his knees, clutching his head. Visions filled his mind. He saw ancient humans standing before burning suns, commanding storms, moving worlds with their thoughts. He saw them weep as they sealed their powers, choosing to forget so they could live in peace. And now, because of the invasion, that peace was over on Earth. Holt's screen flashed red, a message repeating across every global network. It wasn't written by humans, it came from the Earth itself. Protocol Origin has been reactivated. Humanity Prime access unlocked, her officers gasped. General, what is Protocol Origin? One asked. Holt turned slowly, her face pale but determined. It's the last command of the old world, she said. The order that ended the Great War before history began. The walls shook as the base lights dimmed. From deep within the Earth, a pulse of energy spread outward, visible from space as a wave of golden light. Satellites recorded it traveling faster than light, passing through stars and systems like ripples in water. Wherever it went, old ruins began to shine. Lost human colonies buried under alien soil, forgotten monuments now glowing once more. The galaxy woke in terror. Species that had long ruled the stars suddenly remembered stories their ancestors whispered. Stories of the humans who burned empires with their voices. The phrase echoed across worlds. They are awake. In the command room, Holt stood still, feeling the ground vibrate under her boots. Her aide asked, General, should we stop it? She looked at him with tired eyes and said, Can you stop a planet from breathing? Outside, the snow melted into rivers of light. Flowing uphill toward the sky, the air shimmered as millions of energy streams rose from cities, forests, and oceans, forming a massive network of golden lines across the planet. It looked like Earth itself was becoming a star in space. The last alien ships were blinded by the brightness. One pilot whispered, What are they doing? The answer came not from his commander, but from the comms. A single human voice, calm and clear. We are done pretending! The pilot screamed as his ship dissolved into particles, turning into dust and joining the light. Everywhere the same words repeated. Stop attacking, or we stop pretending to be civilized. And then silence. The light faded. The Earth returned to its normal color. But everyone who saw it, alien or human, knew nothing would ever be the same again. The awakening was complete. And the universe had just remembered that Earth was never weak, it was merciful. The stars trembled across the black void of space. Hundreds of alien fleets began to move. After Earth's awakening, panic spread through the galactic empires like wildfire. The Threx dominion was shattered, their commander missing, their homeworld gone. But other species refused to believe the stories. They thought Earth had used forbidden technology, not power, and so they decided to strike back. They called it Operation Cleansing. An armada of over 3,000 warships from 7 galactic nations gathered near Jupiter's orbit. Massive battleships, carriers, and dreadnoughts, each armed with weapons that could destroy moons. Their leaders believed that if they attacked fast enough, they could end Earth before it awoke again. But Earth was already awake. On the planet's surface, the world seemed calm. Children played, cities worked, skies looked normal. Yet beneath that peace, the heartbeat of something greater pulsed through everything. The oceans carried whispers, the air hummed with static, and the ground vibrated like a sleeping giant breathing. General Mara Holt stood in the underground command room, eyes fixed on the holographic display. Ma'am, the combined alien fleets have entered the solar system, her aide said nervously. Time to impact in 9 hours. Holt nodded slowly. Prepare the planet, she ordered. Every hidden facility on Earth came online. Massive energy grids activated. Connecting to the planet's core, ancient symbols appeared across mountains, deserts and deep oceans glowing with golden light. To ordinary people it looked like magic. To scientists it was impossible, to Earth it was memory. Meanwhile, the alien commanders broadcasted their final message to humanity. A deep, echoing voice filled the skies. "You have played gods for too long, Earth. We end this game now." The transmission spread across the world, but humans didn't panic. People gathered on rooftops, staring at the stars. They could feel it. The calm before something unimaginable. In cities across the world, everyone felt a strange warmth inside their chest. The same heartbeat, the same pulse, as if every human was connected to something far beyond themselves. In orbit, the first alien wave moved into firing range. The lead ship locked on and fired. A beam of antimatter energy. Bright enough to blind the stars, it should have vaporized half of Earth. But as it neared the atmosphere, it vanished. No explosion, no resistance, just gone on the alien bridge. Silence filled the air. "Confirmed target impact," the commander demanded. "Sir," the technician whispered, "the beam was absorbed." Absorbed by what? By the planet itself. Then something impossible happened. The energy they fired began returning. A single golden pulse rose from Earth, moving faster than light. It touched their fleet, and then the stars went dark. From Earth's surface, people saw the night sky flicker. Constellations vanished for a few seconds, then reappeared dimmer. Every telescope pointed to the same thing. An entire fleet gone. Without a trace in the command base, Holt received confirmation. Her aide looked at her, pale. "Ma'am, 3,000 ships. Just disappeared." Holt's expression didn't change. "They fired first," she said quietly. Earth responded above. The remaining fleets panicked. Some tried to retreat. Others fired everything they had, but no weapon reached the planet. The very fabric of space bent around Earth. Swallowing every blast, it wasn't defense, it was dominance. Across the galaxy, fear became law. Empires went silent. Communication networks failed everywhere. Strange messages began appearing in data streams. The same words repeating endlessly, "Stop attacking," or "We stop pretending to be civilized." Meanwhile, something else was happening on Earth. The golden veins across the planet started glowing brighter. But now they spread beyond Earth, reaching toward the moon, Mars, and the void itself. Terraforming machines hidden beneath the lunar surface activated. Oceans of light spread across Mars. Satellites showed entire continents forming where none existed before. Humanity wasn't defending anymore, it was expanding. In the alien council of the Varan Alliance, panic took over. "We must destroy them now," shouted one elder. But another replied, "Destroy? You cannot destroy what became the foundation of your own species." Confusion filled the room. "What do you mean?" The elder whispered. "We are their echoes. Back on Earth." Holt stood before the central core of Project Eden. A massive sphere of pure light filled the chamber. Pulsing like a star, voices echoed around her, not from speakers, but from within her own mind. "You have done well." Mara Holt, she looked up at the light. You were waiting for this, weren't you?" "We always were, but we hoped you would never need us again." Outside, the clouds above the world turned gold. Lightning without thunder flashing across the skies. Every human on Earth looked up as the voice spoke across the planet. "For centuries, we pretended to be peaceful, to give others a chance to grow. But the galaxy has chosen war." The oceans rose in massive spirals of light. Mountains glowed, and space itself rippled like water. The message continued. "Then let them see what peace kept hidden." On the alien ships that remained, every monitor flickered to life. A human face appeared, and a calm, cold, and unblinking. "We gave you mercy," it said. "Now we give you memory." And before the aliens could react, their ships dissolved into dust. The dust turned into light, and that light returned to Earth. Silence filled the universe. General Holt stood watching the sky through the glass dome. For the first time, she smiled. "They called it retaliation," she whispered, "but this is justice far beyond the Milky Way." Ancient civilizations woke from their slumber. They felt the pulse of Earth, an old power they once feared. One by one, they sent warnings to their people. "Do not go near the blue planet," they said, "because the humans are no longer pretending." The stars were no longer silent after the retaliation. The universe itself seemed to whisper in fear. Across the galaxies, entire civilizations went dark, turning off their lights, hiding their signals, praying the blue world would not look their way. Earth had become the center of every legend, every warning, every sleepless night among the stars. But humanity was not celebrating in the hidden control chamber of Project Eden. General Mara Holt watched the glowing sphere of energy pulse like a living sun. Its light filled the room, warm yet endless. The voice from within spoke again, calm and ancient. You have reawakened the Prime Network. Holt took a slow breath, her hands trembling slightly. What is the Prime Network? She asked. The voice answered, It is what remains of what you once were. Her eyes widened. You mean, before history? Before memory, the voice said. Before fear, before mercy. Outside, the skies over Earth shimmered like liquid glass. Strange constellations appeared under ones no telescope had ever recorded. People everywhere looked up in awe, seeing patterns of light forming human shapes across the heavens. They thought they were seeing angels. They were not far beneath the surface, deep under the Atlantic Ocean. A forgotten city lit up after millions of years of darkness. Towers of crystal rose from the depths, releasing beams of golden light into the sea. Each beam carried information, fragments of a past erased from human memory. The story of what humanity truly was, it began long before Earth was a quiet blue planet. Long before the first stars humans ever saw, there was an empire, vast, infinite, built not on planets, but on consciousness. They were called the architects. They looked human, they were human, but older, wiser, and terrifyingly powerful. They shaped galaxies like clay, created stars as easily as fire, but power without restraint became madness. They fought wars not for survival but for ideology. They destroyed entire civilizations because they could. They changed reality to prove a point until one day they realized the truth. They were not gods. They were mistakes that learned too late, and so the architects made one final decision. They sealed their power, split their essence, and sent their memories into the stars. A single world was chosen to carry their legacy, Earth. Its people were born from the fragments of those ancient beings, their potential locked deep within their DNA, their history erased, their weapons buried beneath their own feet. The voice continued. You are the last generation of the architects. You were meant to live in peace, never to awaken what sleeps inside. Holt's eyes filled with fear. So all of this, Project Eden, the awakening, the retaliation, and it wasn't new. No, said the voice. It is the past remembering itself. In space, alien observers watched from far away, their fleets hidden behind distant moons, listening to the strange signals coming from Earth. What they didn't know was that those signals were not transmissions. They were instructions. Codes awakening other fragments of the architects buried across the galaxy. Worlds that had once belonged to humans were lighting up again. On Mars, new cities began to rise overnight. On the Moon, dormant machines turned on for the first time. And far beyond Pluto, something massive stirred in the darkness. A sphere the size of a planet, slowly opening its surface like an eye. General Holt stood before the glowing sphere in the command chamber. Her aide spoke quietly. Ma'am, readings showed dimensional activity beyond known physics. If this continues, Earth's reality field might expand. Holt looked at him and said, You mean Earth might reshape the universe? He nodded. And the voice replied, Not might, will. The chamber lights flickered. Images filled the room, holograms of the past, of the architects standing before entire galaxies. One of them looked like Holt. The resemblance was impossible to deny. You are one of them, the voice said. A descendant by blood and mind, chosen to awaken the forgotten. Holt took a step back, whispering, Why me? Because you remembered, it said. You never feared what was hidden, only what would happen if it woke. At that same moment, in alien command centers across the galaxy, sensors exploded with new readings. The light from Earth had changed. It now pulsed in rhythmic waves. Each pulse carried coded data, reshaping energy and matter. Planets nearby began to shift orbits slightly. Stars realigned themselves to form symbols, a single repeating pattern. The human hand. The galaxy understood Earth was not sending a signal. It was claiming its territory. In panic, the Varan Alliance and the remaining Threk survivors held an emergency meeting. Their leader shouted, This cannot continue. If they awaken fully, the galaxy ends, another replied. No, not ends, restarts back on Earth. Holt's face was pale, but her voice strong. What happens next? She asked the light. When the seventh seal of memory opens, you will see everything. She frowned. And what if we refuse? Then humanity remains caged and the universe forgets mercy once more. Outside, the auroras grew brighter than ever before, turning night into golden daylight. People across the world stopped what they were doing, staring up at the sky for the first time, every human heartbeat in perfect sync. It wasn't fear, it was connection. And from the heart of the earth, a final message was sent across space. We were not made to conquer, we were made to create. But if creation is threatened, then the architects shall rise again. The light dimmed, and silence returned. General Holt stood alone in the chamber, her reflection glowing in the glass. She whispered to herself, "We are not the children of Earth. Earth is the child of us." Above her the stars flickered on one by one, rearranging into ancient constellations that no living being had ever seen. And in that silent moment the universe remembered its true creators. The architects, the humans, the forgotten gods. The stars had changed. Their positions no longer matched the old maps. Every telescope in the galaxy confirmed the same impossible thing. The constellations were moving, rearranging themselves into human shapes. Hands, eyes, hearts, and wings made of light. The architects had returned across the universe. Chaos spread. Worlds trembled as power grids collapsed. Ships malfunctioned, and wormholes flickered open and shut like nervous eyes. Every empire, every species, every ruler looked toward the same place. The small blue world that had dared to awaken. Earth, General Mara Holt stood at the center of the control chamber, staring into the heart of the glowing sphere. The air around her pulsed like it was breathing. The voice of the Prime Network spoke again, steady and calm. "The seventh seal has opened. Now the choice must be made." Holt clenched her fists. "What choice?" she asked, her voice quiet but firm. The light shimmered, forming images of galaxies burning, stars dying, civilizations vanishing like smoke. "The universe is unstable," said the voice. "Too many wars, too much corruption, too many lies. The balance is broken. Humanity must decide whether to restore or erase." Holt took a step back, her heart pounding. "You mean, destroy the galaxy, or rebuild it?" the voice answered, "as you once did before." The room shook as energy surged through the floor. The ancient machines of Earth responded to her emotions. To her fear, to her will, for the first time, Holt understood the truth. The architects hadn't vanished. They had become human. Their power wasn't lost. It was simply waiting for a mind strong enough to carry it again. In orbit, alien fleets surrounded the planet once more. Not to attack, but to beg. Their transmissions flooded human channels. "Please stop, we surrender. We only wanted to survive." "We didn't know who you were." Holt listened silently. She could feel their fear, their desperation, their pain. But she could also feel something else. The voice of humanity itself. Millions of minds connected through the global network. Children, elders, soldiers, scientists, all linked together, all sharing one heartbeat. The world was no longer many voices, it was one. And that one voice whispered through her mind, "We don't want revenge, we want peace." Real peace. Tears welled in her eyes as she turned back to the glowing sphere. "Then give us that chance," she said. The light responded, expanding until it filled the entire room. Her body lifted from the floor, surrounded by streams of golden energy. Her voice merged with the network. She became the channel. She became Earth's final answer. From space, the planet began to glow again. But this time it wasn't violent or bright, it was gentle, pure, like the light of dawn after endless night. The golden energy spread across the solar system. Reaching the alien ships first, their weapons vanished. Their engines quieted, their fear faded. Instead of death, they felt calm. Instead of terror, they felt understanding. The light continued outward, passing through the galaxy. Wherever it went, wars stopped. Weapons melted, memories of hatred faded, and in their place, new memories formed, of peace, creation, and unity. The same unity humanity had once forgotten. In the command center, Holt's officers watched in silence. "Ma'am, the entire galaxy's energy field is stabilizing," one whispered. Another said, "Radiation levels are falling across all systems. It's like time is healing itself." Holt's voice echoed through them, calm and powerful. "This is Earth's final answer. Not destruction, not dominance, but restoration." The Prime Network pulsed brighter than ever before. Its voice filled every mind across the stars. "The architects have spoken. Let all who live remember, civilization is not weakness. It is restraint." In the far reaches of the universe, ancient species knelt. Even the oldest star beings bowed in silence as Earth's light passed over them. And when it faded, every world saw the same thing in their skies. A single glowing symbol. A human hand open, not closed. A sign not of power but of choice. General Holt slowly descended back to the ground. Her body shimmered with traces of golden light. Fading as the energy calmed, her aide rushed to her side, eyes wide with awe. "General, what have you done?" She smiled softly. "Something we should have done long ago," she said. "We reminded the galaxy that mercy is stronger than fear." Outside, the world was changing. Rivers flowed with crystal water again. Forests grew thicker. The air became clean. The wounds of centuries healed in moments. The Earth itself seemed reborn. In the deep silence of space, one last message echoed, not in sound, but in thought. To all who hear this, remember what we were. Remember what we chose to become. We are humanity, and we are done pretending to be civilized. Because civilization is not pretending. It is power-controlled. The stars brightened once more, forming a final pattern across the galaxy, a symbol of unity shaped like Earth itself, shining at the center of creation, and then peace. For the first time in a billion years, there was no war, no empire, no conquest, only silence. The kind of silence that feels alive, the kind that comes after a story has been told. General Holt looked up at the golden sky and whispered, "Maybe now, the universe will dream again, and far beyond the galaxies, beyond all light and darkness." A quiet voice, older than time itself, whispered back, "It already has."